You're watching 13 Wham ABC. And this is 13 Wham News at 6.
C-sections working alcohol shooting at the Boys and Girls Club. Original reports of possibly 6 to 7 people
shot outside a place that provides a safe haven for children. Violence that shook our community and our emotions.
Someone driving by and shooting into a crowd is senseless. Rochester, stop killing black men. Stop it. 3 young men killed, 4 wounded. Neighbors want change.
If you are not a part of the solution, you are the problem.
And leaders want the community's help.
Now we need to come together and turn this moment into the moment when Rochester said it deserves better.
Good evening. We still don't know who fired those gunshots into a crowd that had gathered after a basketball game at the Boys and Girls Club on Genesee Street. It happened just before 11:30 last night. Jonah Barley, Raekwon Manigault, and Johnny Johnson were fatally shot. 4 others were wounded. Today, a prayer vigil at the scene. Their names inscribed on a makeshift memorial.
I have 5 daughters, and it terrifies me. I don't even want my children to walk out in these streets because I'm scared. I'm afraid of what's going to happen.
We have team coverage tonight. Matt Malloy with the Public Safety Building for the latest on the police search for the suspects. First, though, Kelsey Smith, who is live on Genesee Street. We will begin with Kelsey, who tells us witnesses say the annual basketball tournament was a success. Expressions of joy disappearing in an instant with those gunshots.
Don, that's right, and that joy you said quickly ended, and tonight it's still somber here along Genesee Street outside the Boys and Girls Club. Over the last hour, people have been gathering, I would guess around 100 people here, praying, remembering, demanding the end to violence in the city of Rochester. This is a safe place for youth in Rochester, the Boys and Girls Club. The staff member that heard the gunshots, he thought they were firecrackers until he saw the kids laying on the ground.
All I know is when I get up from putting all the stuff in the garbage, I look on the street. The kids from the kids that's on the sidewalk is laying on the ground. So I'm like, well, what is going on? 7 victims in all, 4 injured, 3 killed. I walk over here, I see the one baby down on the ground, shot. Come down the street a little bit more, another baby, shot. Come down the street again, another baby, and another baby.
But I had to just get down, and the bullets was coming from everywhere. We had no idea where the bullets was coming from. So after the car that went by with the ride by, me and some of the staff jumped up, and that's when we came one by one, going down the line, looking at the kids.
17-year-old Jonah Barley was the first kid Smith got to. He was dead.
Jonah was totally on his way walking home, had headphones in his head. He got shot, laying on the ground, still had the headphones.
To come outside not knowing that it's going to be your last. I just seen him last night, and I told him, I said, your grandma said when the street lights come on, you need to be in the house. And he said, okay, Aunt Mel. I said, so that means you need to get home.
Not far down the sidewalk, his friend, 19-year-old Raekwon Manigault.
It was a senseless killing, man, you know what I mean? And it's sad, man, you know what I mean? You hurt a whole lot of people, whoever you are, man. You hurt a whole lot of people. You truly did. Whoever you are, you need to just surrender.
Johnny Johnson was also killed as he, like the others, tried to walk home after a basketball tournament. And tonight on that sidewalk where they were killed just hours ago, people gathering, remembering, and wanting to stop the violence in the city, wanting to have places where they can feel safe and where kids can go and play basketball and not have to worry about walking home. Don.
All right. Hey, thank you, Kelsey. And as you mentioned in your report, one man pointing out, no matter how old you are, you're always somebody's baby. And that's what brought so many people to the Strong Hospital last night, an emotional scene as those victims were brought in. We're told 2 of the wounded were treated at the hospital and released. 2 others do remain there tonight. So far, their names have not been released. Going to turn now to 13 West Matt Malloy with the Public Safety Building with the latest now on what police are saying about their efforts to catch the shooter. Matt.
Yeah, Don, both the police chief and the mayor are asking the community to let them do their job. There is a serious fear tonight about possible retaliation to this crime. This afternoon, though, the police chief and the mayor presenting a united front surrounded by members of the community. The chief says they need the public's help, tips, cell phone video, anything that could help them solve this crime. He won't say how much progress they've made since the shooting last night, but he's asking people not to answer this violent act with more violence.
You know, we understand emotions run high, but again, this is a good police department. This is a good community. We're working on a good partnership, and that is the way to deal with this. You know, more violence is not the answer to a violent act.
We are asking the friends and families of the victims to not retaliate. We need for you to allow us to bring these people to rightful justice. And that justice is prosecuting them to the fullest extent of the law.
The mayor also saying she's been in touch with the district attorney when it comes to that prosecution. The chief also really stressing the importance of any eyewitness video that may be out there. He's asking people to come forward if they may have something that can help. There's also a $10,000 reward for information leading to an arrest. We're live at the Public Safety Building this evening. I'm Matt Malloy, 13 WHAM.
Thank you, Matt. Well, as the search continues for those responsible, the victims, as we pointed out, are being remembered. A prayer for them is being put out throughout the community today. Carla Claire joining us now to tell us how local clergy are now offering their faith and support to this grieving community. Carla.
That's right, Don. It was a painful sight to see friends and relatives of the victims wailing in disbelief, some stuck in a visible fog, upset, tired, and angry about what happened. Standing in a ring of faith, clergy hope to heal those who are hurting on Genesee Street.
And we want to stand together in prayer, knowing that prayer changes things.
Reverend Chastity Dennis says the circle is not easily broken.
And that we together shall come against violence, not just today, but we shall make a commitment every day.
Many grieving found comfort in writing the names of the 3 victims in chalk on the pavement of the Boys and Girls Club.
It hurts me to my heart. I'm out here because I want people to know that it's time for us to come together as a unit, as a people, and stop, work together against this, not just talk about it, but do something about it.
When I was a kid, I walked to the store on my own. Mama sent me to the store, go get this. But you can't do that with your kids now because it's too bad out here. Sad to say, it's bad.
This area that we're standing on, we're taking it back. And we're saying we're not going to accept violence. Amen. That those bodies did not die in vain.
And it's always been young black kids against black kids. I think that we have a morality problem in our community among young blacks. And I think that the black churches need to come out of their 4 walls, and not just clergy on patrol, but need to come out en masse and really talk to a lot of young people.
Now, faith leaders are planning to pray for the victim's family at the Boys and Girls Club come tomorrow evening at 6:30. Don?
All right, thank you, Carla. As we said, the shooting happened just outside that Boys and Girls Club last night. Tonight, we are hearing from the man in charge of that organization, 13 WHAM's Jim Madalinsky, joining us now with what he had to say today. Jim?
Yeah, Don, the executive director of the Boys and Girls Club here, telling me they will not be deterred by this tragedy. Of course, this all happened as these people were leaving a basketball tournament here at the Boys and Girls Club. It's been an emotional and somber day. You can see people still gathered here just now, wrapping up a short vigil. A short while ago, Dwayne Mahoney did talk about this. He stressed that today is a day for the victims, their families, and most importantly, catching those responsible. But he was adamant in saying that even though this happened outside their front door, again, this won't stop their efforts.
People know that we provide a safe opportunity for our kids in this neighborhood, and we will continue to do that in spite of what went on.
Mahoney also echoing the words of Mayor Lovely Warren, calling this a community problem, and you can see the response here today. I did get a chance just a few minutes ago to speak with Paul McFadden. He grew up in this area, and he is making it his mission to try to turn this area around. He agrees that there needs to be something done to complete this change, and we're going to have more on that later tonight on 13 WHAM News. For now, we are live in Rochester. Jim Madalinsky, 13 WHAM News.
All right, thank you, Jim. I know you talked to the city councilman last night. Jim's been out there all night and all day today. Thanks to all of our reporters for thorough coverage today as we pull this together for you. 7 people shot outside the Boys and Girls Club of Rochester just about 11:30, just before 11:30 last night. That as a basketball game was letting out. The joy of the game turning to sadness as those shots were fired. 3 people killed, 4 others hurt. No arrests have been made. This is a drive-by shooting, and police are offering a $10,000 reward for any information that leads to an arrest. We will pass along any new developments, of course, throughout the evening on 13wham.com. Well, tonight we are also tracking some storms in the area at this hour. We have received many pictures from you, our viewers, dealing with the flooding. We turn now to Glenn to find out. There's one of the pictures there, Glenn. Look at the flash floods we had today. I got caught in this a little bit earlier. I'll tell you about that later, Glenn. I want to know what's in store for the rest of tonight.
Well, I got to tell you, Don, the rain came down so heavy, we had a record amount of rainfall at the airport. Now, some good news. The flash flood warning that was from Monroe County, the city, Livingston County, that has been discontinued, and we still have a flash flood watch, but I think this is going to come down very shortly also, because you can see why. Look at this line, almost a conveyor belt of moisture that moved across western New York and now beginning to move into central New York. So conditions improving rapidly, but it's still coming down at a pretty good clip on the eastern end of Wayne County, eastern end of Ontario County. But I think this is going to be ending, as I mentioned, probably in the next 10 or 15 minutes or so. Look at the amount of rainfall. Well, you see that green? That's where you got more than an inch of rain in about 15 or 20 minutes. And that's where we get some of that flash flooding. So as we mentioned, through this evening, conditions improve pretty quickly. We're heading down through the 60s. In fact, we're going to get some breaks in the cloud cover. So the storms move east. The flooding threat will come to an end as we go through this evening. And going beyond tonight, it is all good news. In fact, it's great news for the weekend. I'm going to show you why. It's coming up.
Well, the prominent Rochester defense lawyer, John Parinello, has been charged with patronizing a prostitute. And the 13 WHAM News investigation has linked this charge to a former client of his law firm. Jane Flash was the only reporter there when Parinello turned himself into police. She uncovered some court documents as well, I guess, linking, Jane, the two of these people. And we want to turn to you now to sort out that for us.
Well, Don, Gates police say Parinello was caught in an internet-based sting, but court documents from 2 years ago also suggest he once conducted a hidden camera investigation of his own involving this former client. Outside the Gates Police Department, John Parinello appeared ready to say plenty, but his attorney had thoughts about that. In 2012, Parinello was retained to defend Vanessa Gainsler, who was accused of stealing a credit card, then going on a spending spree at Walmart, McDonald's, and Wegmans. In a police deposition filed the following March, Parinello accused Gainsler of stealing from him. The proof caught on surveillance cameras that also allegedly caught her walking around the bedroom, looking through drawers, missing cash and a television set. 13 WHAM News has learned Gainsler is connected to the prostitution arrest at the Gates Motel Sunday afternoon. Can you say anything about John's relationship with this person?
What relationship? He's been charged with, in my opinion, an irresponsible charge. He categorically denies this charge of patronizing.
Gates police made the arrest based on an internet hookup site, part of an ongoing investigation to target prostitution and the crimes associated with it.
Things from robberies to people being assaulted, to domestic violence, to the drug. It's not a victimless crime. There are victims out there, and it ties up the police resources a lot.
Parinello was the only arrest Sunday. Police will not comment about Gainsler. But 13 WHAM News has learned she was picked up that same day for violating her parole. Now, Gainsler has a long history of arrests for forgery and petty larceny dating back to 2003. She remains in the Monroe County Jail tonight. Parinello was ticketed. He will appear in court next week. Don?
All right, thank you, Jane. More ahead on 13 WHAM News tonight as we continue our coverage of last night's mass shooting on Genesee Street. Up next, how 2 of the victims were working to stay on the right path. We continue our coverage now of the massive drive-by shooting on Genesee Street that killed 3 and wounded 4. It happened last night outside the Boys and Girls Club 2 of the victims were involved in youth community programs. 13 WHAM's Jennifer Lee joining us now, explaining how these young men were working, some of them to stay on the right path. Jen?
Yeah, Don, a great showing of support here on Genesee Street. And amongst that crowd, I spoke with the president of Pathways to Peace, and he told me 2 of the victims, Jonah Barley and Raekwon Manigault, were under their care at Pathways to Peace. And we also learned Manigault was a volunteer at an organization called Teen Empowerment, just about a block away here on Genesee Street. And I'm told by a youth organizer that she worked with Manigault directly to form a program called Police for Youth over a month ago. So he was directly trying to do positive things with the youth here.
Ray was the kind of person that always had my back. He always made me laugh. He always had me smiling. You know, my community, as me living around here and knowing most of the people that live here, to just, you know, stay safe and make sure that you love one another, because you never know when that person can be gone one day.
And again, this vigil that's happening here, it's continuing to grow. More people are showing up here to pay their respects and also to stand together as a community. And we will continue to follow the events that are unfolding here on Genesee Street and bring it to you on 13wham.com. Live in Rochester, Jennifer Lee, 13 Wham News.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. Back with Glenn's forecast after this.
Well, did the heavy, intense rain catch you off guard today? If you're out driving, probably did. I want to show you one picture here. This was sent in from Joey, one of our viewers. And look at the rainfall amounts here. Some of the rain, some of the water here up to the hubs, if you will, on some of these cars. And this is where we had some problems around Rochester. That rain and that water starting to recede, but we had a record amount of rainfall in Rochester. And, of course, we had that in about a half-hour's time period, and that was it. Now, skies is starting to brighten, conditions are improving, 71 degrees, and the dew point is starting to drop, and that's going to be the trend as we go through the overnight. A lot of our weather spotters calling in, talking about flooded yards. The amount of rain has been really tremendous. Bill in Scottsville, he picked up almost 3 inches of rain in his rain gauge. Here's a look at the ultimate Doppler radar, and you can see the rain, that conveyor belt of heavy moisture moving into central New York. So scattered showers coming to an end from west to east as we go through the evening, and by tomorrow we're in good shape. I mean, we're going to get some patchy clouds through the afternoon, but it's going to be cooler. It's going to be much more comfortable. We're looking for temperatures in the mid-70s through the afternoon, and you know, we might as well keep the trend going into the weekend. This is the front that moved through and across western New York. High pressure builds in, clears things out, and eventually we'll get into some of this warmer weather. That's going to be later this weekend. So the planning forecast through this evening, any scattered showers essentially from the Genesee Valley on east will come to an end. Our temperature dropping into the 60s. That's where we start tomorrow morning. We'll get some patchy clouds by the afternoon. Temperatures in the mid-70s. Much more comfortable weather. Check out Saturday and Sunday. Doesn't get much better than that in Rochester for the end of summer. Then we'll get another cool down as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday.
All right. Hey, thank you. Hey, the biggest rout since February of 2014. Stocks pummeled on Wall Street today. Look at that. The Dow off 358 points.
It is the Bills and the Browns preseason game number 2 tonight, nationally televised, 8 o'clock live on ESPN. Tyrod Taylor starts at quarterback tonight for the Bills, trying to win the job. The Bills really shorthanded. Top 5 running backs are hurting. It's a bunch of guys who likely won't make the team that'll play running back tonight. Now, the defense pretty healthy tonight, and we get another look at cornerback Ronald Darby. In the game Friday, the impressive rookie got worked over by the Panthers. Lesson learned for the second-round pick.
Preseason game, like this will camp for, to work on your weaknesses and work on everything to get better overall. It's always a test. Like, it's the NFL. Like, corner is a real difficult position to transfer over coming from college in the NFL. So it's just helping me each day, each week. I'm just gonna get better.
It's all about learning. It's a learning process. You know, everybody's gone through tough times, rough times. I've been through them a lot, and the only thing I can guide him through was just to say, hey, you know, get rid of the last play. Let's get ready for the next play and make up.
Yeah, we'll see how they do tonight again, 8 o'clock ESPN.
All right, and we'll be right back. Finally, tonight we leave you with the scenes from last night's shooting. A live vigil going on right now over on Genesee Street. The scene where 3 died, 4 wounded last night in that shooting outside the Boys and Girls Club. A night for prayer in our community.